After a heavy recession, the Indian auto industry has bounced back and has bounced back hard. And the Auto Expo is really testament to that. I mean, there are cars everywhere, but the stall that you need to come and have a look at if you want to have a look at a whole bunch of models on display is Toyota. In fact, I'd go out on a limb and say that Toyota has the most number of individual models on display out of any other automaker here. That's insane. And not only do they have cars on display, but they have a ton of tech on display too. Petrol engines, diesel engines, hybrids, electrics, hydrogen fuel cells. They literally have everything, anything for anyone. So come have a quick look. Okay, so let's take a closer look at all those cars and all that tech that Toyota has on display. Let's start with the first car that you're going to notice when you enter the Toyota stall. Now, this says Corolla Cross. It doesn't look like a Corolla, does it? But that's because it doesn't wear a Toyota badge anymore. It wears a Corolla badge because Corolla is almost like a sub-brand to Toyota now. And this, of course, is the Corolla crossover, the Corolla compact SUV, if you want to call it that. I think it looks great. I think it looks very Toyota-esque, doesn't it? Nice, subtle styling. I wish this was in India, to be very honest. Okay, let's talk about why this is here though. As you can see, H2, this is powered not by petrol or diesel, but by hydrogen. Now, the hydrogen tank in the back is actually powering a normal internal combustion engine. That internal combustion engine is the 1.6 turbo, which I believe is the same one that is in the GR Corolla. That's inside here, underneath this lovely engine that. And that's powering this. Now, of course, that means that if hydrogen powers it instead of normal petrol or diesel, emissions are almost nothing, is it? But this isn't the only hydrogen-powered thing that's on the stall, because the other hydrogen-powered car, the more impressive, dare I say, hydrogen-powered car at the Toyota stall is, of course, the Mirai. Now, the Mirai is a hydrogen fuel cell car. Corolla Cross powered by hydrogen as a fuel. This is electric, so it's a fuel cell that's powering that electric motor. Now, 650 kilometers of range on one tank of hydrogen. And just look at it. Doesn't this look spectacular? Doesn't this look really imposing? When you imagine one of these in black, this would look very cool. And if hydrogen actually starts getting delivered in India, or hydrogen availability becomes a non-issue in India, that would do extremely well with a large section of the sort of subtle luxury car buying audience. And I love the color that it is in. Okay, let's have a look at the Prius. Okay, the famous or the infamous Prius, or whatever you want to call it. We've all seen the memes, haven't you? But this is the new Prius, and it looks, honestly, it looks really, really cool. The details in this car are spectacular. I mean, look at this headlight, for example. Like, it's like four nice little cakes stacked next to each other, ready to be sort of chomped into. I think it looks very, very nice. It's the best looking Prius by far. I mean, that's a no-brainer. But again, we've had hydrogen powered engines, we've had a fuel cell, now we've got a plug-in hybrid. So look at the variety that's on offer at the Toyota stall. It's truly staggering. Now, we've had the Prius in India before in 2 generations, and I think that today there is definitely a market for the Prius to return back to India. But I mean, that's something that Toyota has to decide, not something we can decide, to be honest. But again, in terms of the way it looks, really, really nice. A lot of detail. Another car that's now disappeared from the Indian market though is that is a Corolla Altis. What is it doing here, you ask? It's not because it's here on display sort of just to be there, fill space. Actually, it's here because it's packing some very important technology. Now, you know how the government has been really, really pushing flex fuel or ethanol fuel as an option or as an alternative to normal fuel. This is an ethanol or a flex fuel powered Toyota Corolla Altis, and that's great because, again, just like hydrogen, just like other alternative fuels, emissions on E85 much lower, and of course you get a little bit more horsepower out of your engine as well. Should the Corolla come back? Should the Altis come back to India? I mean, sedan market, maybe, because there's not much competition there anymore. But again, it looks sort of nice, doesn't it? Especially with these nice wheels on. I don't think we ever got these in India. But now the car that I genuinely came to Toyota to see, because I've been seeing pictures of this and I've been excited about this, is that is the BZ4X. And why is that important? Well, this is important because this is Toyota's first battery electric production vehicle. Do you understand how important this is? Toyota's first EV. Juggernaut Toyota has finally entered the BEV segment, the battery electric vehicle segment, with something that looks, well, first of all, it's an SUV because obviously it's an SUV, but something that looks this nice. So I believe the range on this, realistic usable range on this, is 400 kilometers. And that's honestly, well, in terms of what you are hearing and seeing around, maybe not too much, but I believe that's usable range, it's actual range that you would get in the city or when you drive around. But the main thing about this is the fact that, especially in this color, this is definitely one of the nicest looking cars on the Toyota stall. And we're getting into proper SUV territory now, isn't it? This looks like a proper SUV. Look at all this plastic cladding that goes all the way to the bumper, all these angular lines, and even the plastic at the back and on the bottom. Big screen in the interiors. This thing looks really nice. But talking about SUVs, there is something here, well, there are two vehicles here that if you talk about SUVs, you just have to talk about. Right, you can't not talk about the Land Cruiser when you talk about SUVs, right? And of course, when it comes to SUVs, this is one of the kings of the SUV world, isn't it? I mean, I don't say this lightly. This thing is gigantic. I'm 5'10", and if I stand next to this here, look how tall it is. Look how gigantic it is. I mean, the grille just comes up to my tummy, and that's saying something, isn't it? Now, of course, this is powered by the 3.3-litre V6 diesel engine, just over 300 horsepower and 700 Newton meters of torque. Let me take a brief breather here and explain what 700 Newton meters of torque can do. If you put a tow rope at the back of this and park it there at the start of the stall, and then sort of attach the tow rope to the whole Toyota stall, this would probably pull all of that through. I mean, this thing is an absolute brute of an SUV, but Toyota has, how do you call it, a card up its sleeve? No. It's a card pack. It's a whole deck up its sleeve, because as big and imposing the Land Cruiser is, this is not the most imposing big SUV, UV on this stand. That is there, tucked away in a corner, and that corner is something all of you need to come and see, because that thing, I mean, if there was a craziest car at the Auto Expo award, now the phrase goes, an extra inch makes all the difference. In this case, this thing has an extra 6 inches, and by that I mean this thing has an insane 6-inch lift kit. But 6 inches have made all the difference in the world to this Hilux. This is a Toyota Hilux Extreme Off-Road concept. It's not exactly a concept, it's somebody's dreams turned into reality, isn't it? It's what I would want my Hilux to look like. 37-inch tires on it, as I mentioned, 6-inch lift, massive bumper up front, crazy stuff. As a showcase car for Toyota, I mean, this thing is just spectacular. You know what they say about the cherry on the cake, don't they? Cherries are red. Coincidentally, this Hilux is red as well. So, what is your pick on all the cars that I've shown you at the Toyota stall? The hybrid stuff, the flex fuel stuff, the EV stuff, or do you want to go completely crazy? And is this your favorite car? I know what I'm going to get into. I know what I'm going to try and maybe drive off the Toyota stand. It's this insane Hilux. I wonder if I'll even be able to get in one shot though. Nonetheless, thank you so much for watching, and tell us in the comments what you think of all these awesome Toyota cars.